Hi everybody, I'm back with another video. So I finally finished Red Rising. So this is gonna be kind of a different review. I'm not really going to review the books, like I did for if you watched my Mistborn video. This is gonna be more of a character analysis of Darrow himself and how I kind of felt like Pierce Brown kind of involved this character from being like a 15-year-old boy to somebody I think that was kind of in his early 20s. Um, and I mean, this is a 5-star series. We're gonna just start with what Red Rising is about. If you don't know, if you're not much into sci-fi like I was, this is my first kind of space opera, sci-fi dystopian, is kind of how I'd like to describe it. This is about Darrow. He is a red in a class system where reds are on the bottom, and he's a minor. He's pretty happy with what he's doing, and then he finds out that it's all been a lie, and then he has to overthrow the Golds, which is the highest hierarchy of the system. And this is just going to go through the first 3 books. So this is going to go Red Rising, Golden Sun, and Morning Star. So you don't have to worry about if you just read the first trilogy. I'm not going to spoil anything for everything else because I haven't even read those books yet. So, what I like is that you really do feel just kind of his emotions throughout the story. So, when the big thing that happens in the first book, couple big things, but the first major thing is Darrow's wife does get executed in front of him. And that leads to this idea that Darrow becomes a martyr for the society. He's going to save the Reds from their enslavement because they've been lied to this whole time. That, it's called terraform. They've already been terraformed. The Golds lied to them. They think, oh, we're doing this because this didn't happen, but it has, and they're trying to get a resource and all this other stuff. They've been lied to. So what his wife lets herself get executed, and basically it kind of goes from there. The first book is all about this competition, so there is a little bit of other things to this. I would definitely a little bit of Game of Thrones, a little bit of Hunger Games. So he goes into this competition to be kind of the next gold, to become a gold associate basically, and he wins. And I think what the second book, I know, like, I kind of rushed through the first book, but what the second book does very well is it does a couple things. One, it deals with the trauma of Darrow losing his wife and having to live amongst the people that executed her, and how that would affect how you interact with these people. And the fact that not all golds are bad, and there's not really any black and white in this society. It's very gray morale. Obviously there's going to be some golds that do agree with what they're doing. But then we find a woman named Mercedes, that is one of the, I don't know if he's a sergeant or something like that, but he's a gold, and she's a gold, and she starts hanging out with Darrow and everything, and comes to realize that the Golds might be wrong. And she works out how to navigate that. So Darrow's sitting there trying to navigate, how am I going to live in a society, or how am I going to live around these people knowing that they killed my wife, that he still really loves very much. So when he gets to the point, well, where Mercedes is like, I like you and I want to kind of be with you, and like his hesitation, you kind of understand, because he's still hyped on his wife. I feel really bad kind of for Mercedes by the end of the series, because I think she's always going to be second best comparable to his wife. And he was 15 years old when his wife got killed. So that really affects your psyche. I don't think he ever had a minute to really like decompress from that, take all the information in and be like, okay, I need a minute. Because like his wife gets killed, he gets told like, okay, you know, now you're a martyr for this cause, because that's why she died, so you can be a martyr. And then he goes and infiltrates the golds. So like this poor guy has not had a chance to really deal with the fact that, oh, my wife died, I need to mourn for her. Like he doesn't get like 2 seconds. So the second book is kind of where it kind of slows down for him. He's learning things through the school and everything. So at this point he's finally allowed to kind of think about where he is, kind of think about like, how do I feel about all this whole situation. But he is also surrounded by his worst enemy, so he's having to deal with that. By the time we get to the third book, there's some part of him that's gone. Like we start the book with him being captured, and he's pretty much losing it at this point. Now, I would say it's just because he's captured, but his mind does start going into kind of a darker direction by the third book, where it's like, because he has to think about this war that's on its way, that he's kind of alluded to in the second book, because he runs away from the golds, and then he gets captured, and then he gets kind of bailed out. So by the middle part of the most of the third book is planning and the battle between him and the golds. And he does get some golds on his side. So you kind of do have to see that the battle between him being a gold, because kind of by the end of the second book, he's been indoctrinated in enough where it's like he's starting to learn their customs and stuff like that. So you get, as a reader, kind of that feeling of, okay, like he could potentially, maybe end up deciding that he needs to be, on the gold side. Maybe the gold, like he gets to the point where he thinks the golds are right. And it's that balance in the third book where he has friends on both sides. So he's very much the middleman between what the golds want and what the reds want. And then there's other factions and stuff as well that get involved. He does befriend a slave at one point, and the slave does get killed, and he has to face the parents of this man. And he's like, yes, he was a brother to me, but I would like your help. And there's a question of, should we get involved? Should we sacrifice the blood? Should we, create the bloodshed for, the issue that you're trying to fight for? And that's a major thing about this series, is when do you need to get involved, and is one side right or not? Which is a lot of what political fantasy talks about, is that no side is right, no side is wrong. There's a very gray morale when it comes to these issues. So another thing that happens in the second book that affects the third book is the fact that his wife was pregnant. So he didn't only lose a wife, and he doesn't know this until the second book. So the first book, he's completely and totally oblivious to this fact, and then he magically finds out, and it's the fact of the loss of the life that he could have had, because he was very okay with the fact that he was a red and he was a mine, working in the mines and stuff, and he was okay with that factor. Um it's more like the trope of like the farmer boy. So what this kind of sparked my idea of it. This feels like a lot like Wheel of Time in a way where Rand is a farmer boy, doesn't want to leave, is forced to leave, and that's kind of how I feel like Darrow is as well. And they're Darrow's kind of a little bit younger, but that's kind of what this kind of portrays. So by the end of the third book, where we get to the epilogue, and then we find out, oh, Mustang had a child with Darrow at some point, that she did not want to tell him about because she was afraid like it would be a distraction. And he understands why she kept it a secret, because the family life seems very important to him on a level of he wants to protect everything that he holds dear. Like it really hurts him by the end that he has to see like all his friends die and everything. So it's a lot of it, like most of this book explores the PTSD of Darrow and what he has to go through and what he has to face by the end of, these books. He does kind of get a happy ending. Now, I know stuff must happen between this trilogy and the new one, because I know Darrow's kind of a different person in that, but I think you get like a 10-year time skip. So obviously a lot of stuff happens. I mean, just because we kind of got a good ending to this trilogy doesn't mean like it's gonna stay happy forever, because they already hint at the fact that they have to hide this kid because they're afraid of his life already. So obviously a lot does happen between then and there. I'm excited to read the next, I think it's 4 books, 3 or 4 books. But I'm not there yet. I did buy 2 of them, so eventually I'll get there. But I think my next big goal is probably, I have Magical Readathon coming up in September. And I'm thinking of doing the Brandon Sanderson Secret Projects. I'm hoping to get that done by before the end of this year. And kind of see, should I have spent $200 to get the special editions, or am I good where I'm at? Is going to be kind of the theme of that one. But if you're like me and you're looking forward to Magical Readathon, I am going to do maybe a TBR video, kind of what my classes are, what the prompts that I'm going to have to cover, and probably kind of like a video kind of talking about how I felt about those books. A lot of them are part of my Illumicrate Book of the Month series. Yeah, but that's kind of where I'm at. If you like if you want to see more like character analysis videos, I'm planning on doing a couple more with the anime manga. I would love to do an Urza video. And then I might jump into Game of Thrones and talk about some of those women, not all of them, because there's just so many characters. But that's kind of where my channel is heading. But anyway, if you, hopefully you have a good rest of your time here. And, I hope to see you guys real soon with another video. I'm thinking, what would be my next video? it might be a character analysis video, guys, because I'm kind of in the start of a couple projects. So I might do my Urza Scarlet video as my next video, but we will see. Anyways, bye.